feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes. Where love is all around me, and so the feeling grows. It's written on the wind, it's everywhere I go.
You grew up in Clifton, New Jersey. Your father, he came to the United States with nothing.
Right.
And built a finance empire and became a renowned philanthropist. And you created the Peaceman Foundation, which was something I was very surprised to find out about you. Can you tell us about that?
Well, my late father, who survived Auschwitz and Mauthausen, and I lost all the relatives in the camps and were murdered, he was never officially diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, but his entire life he still had nightmares from the camps and losing family members. And I decided that one day I would create a charitable foundation to battle hate crimes, which is everything from anti-Semitism to racism to bigotry to homophobia, a combination of hate crimes and also treating post-traumatic stress disorder. When I started off 10 years ago, and I made the transition from banker to dance music, and now from dance music more to mainstream pop. The first song was Imagine, because the lyrics of Imagine were my own personal philosophy, and I figured that would be a great message and a way to kick off these songs that had to do with social, political, and educational import. And I felt that we've all, collectively, pretty much ignored the message that he was trying to send through that song, because I firmly believe that if one almost follows the lyrics to Imagine literally, that you have peace on earth. So he created a very simple formula. Share and care about other people and give them love, and you have a better world. I picked songs from the 60s because the 60s was the time that all cultural, educational, philosophical, all the revolutions took place in terms of humanity evolving. It seemed like in the 60s, everyone was seeking a better way, a better life. So that's why I chose the 60s to remake the most iconic songs from the 60s, because the world has many difficulties and troubles now and violence all over the place. As anyone who has a friend or a relative coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan knows, that post-traumatic stress disorder, it affects a great many of them. I was astounded by it, but over 1,000 of the troops coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan every month try and commit suicide. 1,000 a month. It's the saddest thing in the world to see. They survived the war. Their loved ones are waiting for them to come back from duty, and they don't get blown to bits, and they don't die, and they come back and they take their own life because they can't adjust to a normal life again, because they've gotten so traumatized by the violence around them and the terrorist attacks and things on a daily basis.
When I think of all the worries people seem to find, and how they're in a hurry to complicate their minds by chasing after money and dreams that can't come true, I'm glad that we are different with better things to do. May others plan their future, I'm busy loving you. 1, 2, 3, 4, sha-la-la-la-la-la, live for today. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, live for today. And don't worry about tomorrow. Hey, hey.
The Peaceman Foundation will give to various charities that battle hate crime or treat those suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
From 25 years in the banking industry, and
that's like 20.
20?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 20 years.
I don't know if I could have taken 25. I could barely take 20 years in a bank.
And then you built a castle. Diddy has his white party, Ron Perlman throws his July 4th party, and then there's the party at the castle. Nobody has to say what castle or where. It's just, I'm going to the party at the castle. Because they're so fun.
I try to do, I try to raise the bar every party. And so I try to make it more extreme. I try to make it more memorable. I try to take people on a fantasy that they've never been to before. They're almost always themed. So whether I have one summer, whether I have Oompa Loompas running around, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or whether I have everyone, including the media, wearing superhero costumes, or whether I have them last year celebrating the launch of the Peaceman Foundation by honoring the 40-year anniversary of Woodstock and making it a black lit, psychedelic 60s, flower-powered 60s party. So I try and pick a theme and an outfit that in the hot summery nights that's going to be comfortable, but fun enough for somebody to be able to just pull together quickly if they didn't have anything planned.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what are the hot spots in the Hamptons right now?
I like Lily Pond and RDV, the old tavern, and they're both great. They've been pulling in some of the best DJs in the world. Originally, Lily Pond had Paul Oakenfold out, who some think is the #1 DJ of all time. And then they had Cascade, who's phenomenal, and RDV had Beirut, that's phenomenal. They're pulling talent that global DJs with reputations that could fill stadiums.
And they're here in the Hamptons.
Yeah, exactly. Of 10 to 50,000 people or more, and yet they're coming to the Hamptons, which says a lot about the Hamptons. It says in terms of prestige, it's the place to be, and for them to make a spot appearance at a boutique-like nightclub that only holds a few hundred instead of thousands, says that they want that on their resume. It says the club owners are willing to pay for them because they cost a fortune, and they're willing to come here and take time off to play for a few hundred instead of tens of thousands.
And you've been on the Billboard Top 40. Yeah,
it was San Francisco, was signed by Jelly Bean, who worked with Madonna. Then I had Peace on Earth on Artemis Records. And then after being on 3 different labels, very good labels with tremendous track records, all of them made the Billboard charts. There's no single I ever came out with. But after banging out, I decided to form my own label because I learned the business. I learned the business. So I have Peaceman Music now, and I distribute my first full-length album through a company in the UK, and they're called AWOL, Artists Without a Label.
Right.
And what they do is they handle all my digital distribution. And they make sure I'm on iTunes, and I'm on Beatport, and then I'm on Rhapsody, literally hundreds of music online stores all over the world. And then to handle the physical distribution, because I prefer
CDs are
being a
great
new
to have.
artist, if you want the album, which has all the lyrics to the 15 songs, the credits, the musicians, the backup singers,
And your dedication.
the dedication, the concept, the cause about the foundation, a letter to my fans, all the information for social networking and links and things like that. I prefer. I'm a little old school that way, but I like to have the.
I like a CD
I like
too.
the CD. I like the CD. They're all dance. They're a fusion. I called the originals, when I just did dance music, I called it tech hippie. Techno tracks with hippie lyrics, since all the songs were from the 60s.
Right.
But now that it's crossed over more, and I have more live rock and roll, it's a fusion of rock and roll and electronic dance music. So it's called Rocktronica. And Rocktronica can take me into the mainstream pop world because, at least in the US, dance music and that high energy Euro pop is pop music everywhere in the world but the US. It's only in the US that you only hear hip hop, rap, and maybe heavy metal and some different forms of rock and roll. In order to get more people to listen to the lyrics, learn more about my charity, enjoy the music, and get wider exposure, I went the rock dance
And it's a lot
route
of fun.
instead of the hip hop dance route. Most of the songs are remakes. 2, I actually rewrote the words to, those being Hare Krishna and Kumbaya. If you were around in the 60s or the early 70s, you're going to hear your favorite songs of all time remade in a fresh new way that nobody has done. And if you're young, you're going to hear you may be hearing each one of these songs for the very first time. So to you, they're going to be original, because unless you've been listening to your parents' oldies collection, you very rarely hear these songs played anymore.
Right.
So a new generation has an appreciation towards songs that literally change the world.
And I think the cover is just, it's bright and it's you, and you've got the cape, and the party starts when you walk in the door.
It's more the back than the front. Do you want to see the back?
Let's see the back.
I actually will go out to any community that calls me, or almost any charity that needs support, visit them and try and do my thing. As many times as I've been on television in the US, whether it's MTV or VH1, for some reason, it took the Europeans get it a lot faster, and they're more intrigued by the character Peaceman and not afraid of him. Last year I tested it out in Paris and couldn't go anywhere without people stopping me and making a comment about the bunny party and this and that, because it was shown on a very popular channel. Millions and millions of people saw it. The same thing happened in Germany. So I'm going to go there now and test that out in September or October. So those are the countries where I'm definitely, in terms of television, the most popular. But I just completed with my partner Jim Brown, who's a 4-time Emmy Award-winning documentary producer. We just completed a 1-hour documentary that we're going to take to everyone from HBO to Showtime to A&E to Bravo, and see which of the networks wants to learn more about my entire eccentric, slightly crazy family. And we'll see. My mom owns one of the largest...
Your mom is a very interesting lady.
She owns one of the largest erotic art collections in the world. My brother owns one of the most exotic motorcycle collection
in the world.
My sister, brilliant girl, graduated valedictorian and then Brown University, and now she's running the family business that wasn't sold. She's the CEO, female CEO of a public company.
It's quite a successful family you have.
Yeah, this documentary could easily...
The bar is really high.
Could easily go from documentary into a reality show, real quick like, and that's probably the game plan that I have.
That's where it's headed.
Planned. Yeah, that's where it's headed.
And I read that you've been quoted as saying, sometimes you have to be outrageous to get your message across. So what's the message?
One should celebrate the differences in life and be tolerant of them and appreciate them, because variety is the spice of life, and the importance of education, because only through education do you change the world, because the next generation each generation hopefully is smarter than the last generation, and that's a way for more people to live together in peace.
Well, I am definitely inspired, and I want to thank you for being our guest today. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
And you can check out I Am Peaceman all over the place. We'll have links on the site.